You're in the right place at the right time, stretching from the distant spaceports of Batu, Tatooine, and Gaul, all the way to the bright center of the galaxy at Imperial Center, slamming into your hollow projector like a supercharged nanoparticle of coaxium. This is the Star Wars Unfiltered podcast. I'm John, he's Jason, and we're here to bring you your needed dose of Star Wars film, TV, book, comic, gaming, and collecting news. The date is May 21st, 2021. And we got some cool topics for you today. It's going to be a quick and dirty episode. We got some interesting anniversaries of books and movies today. We're going to be talking about Dave Filoni's apparent promotion. And then we got our review of the latest Bad Batch episode 3. And how was your weekend? Or week, I should say, Jason?
It was good. More, all I do is get forced to rewatch Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire over and over again because
Does your daughter like that one?
For some reason, that is my 4-year-old daughter's favorite Harry Potter movie.
Interesting.
And yeah, it's weird. She does not care that Cedric Diggory dies in that. And in fact, when Dumbledore dies, doesn't care. When Sirius dies, doesn't care. And when Harry dies, that's her favorite part in part 8. Because he tricks Voldemort. That's her favorite part.
Okay.
She loves it when he dies.
You've spoiled the entire Harry Potter saga for me because I never knew that Harry died. I suspected he did, but again, I've never seen the last two, so thanks.
Well, when it gets to that point, you kind of understand that it has to happen, and I won't get into other spoilers. But it's all in this house. It's all Harry Potter all the time. I have not been able to get the transition started from Harry Potter over to Star Wars. I haven't.
You would think it would be easy because they're kind of similar, as we were talking about on our Shadows of the Empire recording.
To be honest, I haven't really tried that hard because when you're a certain age, your interests will be very fluid.
Oh yes, right? I recall.
Especially when you're toddler to a very young child, and then things start solidifying and you get into stuff a little bit more heavily around the age that she's at. So I don't want her to gain an interest in Star Wars and then quickly lose it. I'd rather her feel out. And she got
come in waves.
And she's gonna be into whatever she's into. If she's into Harry Potter, that's fine. If she never gets into Star Wars, that's fine.
I wouldn't want to be one of those parents that necessarily forces my kid to like everything I like just to have a family kind of obsession. Let the kid be what they want to be into. And like you said, things come in waves. And I remember being really into Star Wars at a young age, because you just like everything at a young age, basically. But I really much more got into Star Wars at about 8 years old. When playing with my friends' figures and everything, and then the trilogy was on VHS. So it could be the same thing where once she's 9 or 10, then she'll have her own maybe that will be the right age for Star Wars for her.
Actually, now that I think about it, because what I've liked about her being in Harry Potter is it's kind of it's gotten me into it. So I'm reading the books and all that stuff, which I wouldn't have done otherwise. But also I'm interested to see if maybe she's into Harry Potter now, and then, that kind of goes on the back burner, kind of like Star Wars was for us. And then if there's in about 10 years, there's a resurgence in Harry Potter with new media and stuff, maybe. I mean, they've continued with the Fantastic Beasts stuff, but I wonder if there'll be sort of an explosion of
nostalgia explosion,
more EU Harry Potter EU stuff that'll rekindle all these current kids
interests. I could see it. And if not, you can always get her into the Aliens, RoboCop, and Predator universes.
There you go. Yeah, she, with her reaction to people dying in Harry Potter, I don't think that. I don't think
she won't care.
I don't think
Murphy.
RoboCop. Yeah, I think she would probably think that's funny. Give the man a hand. Can you fly, Bobby?
That's
what I need.
Yeah, RoboCop.
That's what I need. My 4-year-old daughter asking me if I can fly. Can you fly, Papa?
Yeah.
How was your week?
Pretty good. Just kind of catching up on things and doing a little bit of reading here and there. let's see. I know I played a video game recently the other day. God, it's all a blur. I was playing my X-Wing Collector Series again, the 1998 graphical upgrade of X-Wing, but that was already like a few days ago. But yeah, just kind of taking it easy and catching up on things. And we have actually, there's a couple of anniversaries I wanted to mention here. Because I should have probably talked about this 3 weeks ago, but because it didn't go around. I was surprised. I was one of the few people, actually the only person I think I saw on Instagram that posted about the 30th anniversary of Heir to the Empire. I think I did see an article, but it was more about Thrawn. It's like, how does Thrawn compare? Or Timothy Zahn talks about Thrawn 30 years later. It wasn't really about the book itself, Heir to the Empire. And I just thought that was a significant thing because it's restarted the whole continuity. It was the kickoff of the expanded universe as we know it, as the actual EU, given a name. Because before that, everything was just kind of this nebulous spin-off material that didn't necessarily all fit together. So yeah, Heir to the Empire is very, very important, and I just felt like it was worth mentioning. Because yeah, we've talked about our early experiences for seeing the book already, but yeah, so that was kind of cool. And then I think that was May 1st. Due to my researching it online, it's really hard to find release dates for things that aren't movies. When it comes to like books and video games, it's really a challenge to pin down actual days, instead of just months or whatever. But I believe it's May 1st, and that matches up with some other things I'd found. And then also today is the 41st anniversary of The Empire Strikes Back, so I felt like that's worth mentioning. I think it's the only Star Wars movie to come out on the 21st, because everything else was 16th, 19th, or 25th.
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, because it's kind of like early-ish, right?
Yeah.
For Memorial Day weekend to start.
Yeah. For whatever reason, in 77 and 83, it was around the 25th. So those were the release dates then. And then I still think it was strange that Attack of the Clones had a May 16th one. They could have just waited a week, but I don't know, maybe Memorial Day fell a different, I don't know how it worked, but that was the other thing too, is like, we're going to put it on Wednesday to get the fans the chance to see it. And then that began the series of that always happening. And then just like, oh geez. Anyway, Empire Strikes Back, 41, same age as us. And we got this news about Dave Filoni. I say apparent news because, well, what was it exactly? He got promoted to
executive creative director
of
Lucasfilm.
Of Lucasfilm. And I feel like that's pretty important. It sounds like someone that's actually able to say, I want stories to go this direction, kind of like Kathleen Kennedy or something.
Yeah, but apparently, at least according to some sources, I think Variety reported that this was something that had happened back last summer.
Yeah.
So this is like an update, but then of course there's the conspiracy theorists about theories about, okay, well, even if it was last summer, why are they just now updating the website? Because they never made an announcement. And then why are they not making an announcement? They're just kind of quietly making the change on the website. So, obviously there's going to be a lot of
thought of that side.
Yeah, so there's a lot of theories, and this gives a lot of fodder for theories about what would the reasoning behind that be.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll find out eventually if there is a particular reason for it being kind of under the radar.
My intro to this show being inspired by George Knapp was perfect, because it feels like you're Richard C. Hoagland now, talking about things that NASA has done on their website. So
right. Yeah. They edited the Mars pics.
Yes.
They edited there's bases on the moon that the NASA has airbrushed out.
Yes. This is what this feels like, which is awesome.
It kind of is. So I don't know. My personal opinion is it's possible that because Bob Chapek has done some reorganization from what I've read, online with the creatives and the executives and the relationship between them and their fiefdoms within the company. So this could be something related to that, possibly. What that is, I don't know. I mean, does that mean like Kennedy's on the way out? Who knows? I mean, I think her contract's up later this year.
I thought it already was, and they renewed it and extended it.
They did
like
few
last
years
year.
ago. A few years ago they did.
Okay.
And they did it. That was something that was under the radar too. They didn't make a big stink about it. It was actually, I think it was 2019 maybe, because
Yeah,
it was before
right.
it was before the deal with Fox was finalized, and
Mm-hmm.
there was theories about that. Disney wanting their stock price to remain high, nothing to disrupt the stock price because it was a stock deal to buy Fox. So they needed their stock price to remain high. So
right. You know, when it comes to this kind of thing with Kathleen Kennedy, just to go off on a side thing here with Kathleen, you know, I think with our podcast especially, but like we'll poke fun at everybody. Like, in other words, Kathleen's actual existence as the head of Lucasfilm doesn't personally bother me like it does a lot of people. I mean, what do I wish things could be better? In a lot of ways, yes, but I feel like she's like a figurehead. It's a lot like, not to bring up, dredge up things from the past, but I feel like it's a lot like Trump in a certain way, where it's when you get someone in a figurehead position, whether it's a president or whoever, you're gonna get reactions from all sides, and some people's reactions are going to be very if they have even the slightest beef with that person, they're going to be blind. Even if that person does good things, they're going to be blind to it because of their.
Well, I think the issue is extremism and extreme reactions one way or the other. So
yeah, that's what I'm trying to get at. Extremism.
Yeah. And I could see them wanting to have this kind of be low key.
I can see that
they don't. It's not that.
I can see. I can see it being nothing, but then I can also see it being something.
They don't want to feed a machine.
Yeah,
right? They don't want to feed an extremist machine.
Yes.
That lives and breathes on Twitter and wants to latch on to any good or bad news one way or the other,
right,
for whatever their their agenda is, right? So this is something that the anti Kennedy people could latch on to. So I don't know. I mean, who knows, right?
Who knows?
Even that article on Forbes, right? There's theories about that article on Forbes that was criticizing Disney's handling of the Gina Carano situation. There's theories that Bob Chapek actually commissioned that piece to give him an out, right? To give him ammunition and a reason to fire Kennedy eventually. In the eyes of it makes it okay in the eyes of Hollywood to have to take care of business in a ruthless way, to protect the company or whatever, and I could see that. I don't say that. I'm not saying that I believe that happened, but I could see that being a possibility for that. Again,
I can see it.
Again, with the Filoni news and stuff, there probably is a reason. I feel like maybe they would want to tout like Filoni.
I would think they would, because he is highly regarded by Star Wars fans, and especially the anti-Kathleen fans.
Yeah, but they didn't. If it happened last summer, they obviously didn't. And I don't know if like they didn't want to piss off. Not that they didn't want to excite the anti-Kennedy people. They didn't want to piss off the super pro Kennedy people, maybe that faction or something. I don't know.
Maybe so. We gotta get Walter Cronkite to come in and start giving diagrams to Hoagland so we can.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
I worked with Walter Cronkite in 1969. No, it's getting crazy, these theories, and I can see it. I can see the possibility, but also at the same time, I generally regard things as prosaic first, and foremost, because I mean we were just talking about that with a recent UFO video. If you can replicate something, you know, like Occam's razor with everything, even when it comes to these kinds of things with companies, and because we're honestly we're never going to get the inside story unless it's 20 years later and the NDAs have all expired and people are allowed to write their tell-all books,
or somebody leaks something, but
or somebody leaks something that can be confirmed in some way.
At the end of the day, though, it's a belated congratulations to Dave Filoni and his promotion to executive creative director of Lucasfilm. Not at Lucasfilm. I thought that was interesting. He is of Lucasfilm. So I wonder what that entails for other Lucasfilm properties, because everybody always thinks of it in terms of Star Wars, but does that extend to him having some sort of influence on Indiana Jones, Willow? You know, these are things that there are new, you know, media coming out for these properties soon. So
where's my THX 1138 spinoff?
You gotta, you know, Robert Duvall he's getting up there. If you want to bring him back.
Alive. He's still alive.
Yeah, he's still alive.
He's bald still. It's like you didn't have to shave much hair in 1970.
That didn't change. Yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Wouldn't that be great though?
That really would
to bring him back as, you know, because they did it with Blade Runner, right?
Dude, if I got a THX sequel, I would shit a brick. I think it'd be awesome, but it would have to be Lucas involved.
I think Lucas would shit a brick.
He probably would.
Even if they asked him, they're like, "Hey, we want to make a sequel to THX. You want to come back?" What?
I know, right?
I've been waiting. I've got the script.
You know, there was a Star Wars novel that was going to come out. Actually, it was a series of novels. I think it's later what kind of transformed and became the Lucasfilms. What was that Alien book series? It wasn't Star Wars, but it was Alien something. It was like those kind of animals that were anthropomorphized into. It was Alien Chronicles. I think that was it. It was the book series in the late 90s. It was Lucasfilm, and I think it was Bantam, and they had this little side thing, and you would see it promoted in Insider magazine if you turn the pages and saw the ads.
Yeah.
But anyway, that got turned into that. But the original conception of that in the I think the late 90s, early 2000s was they were going to do. Someone was going to write a Star Wars novel that depicted this world of oppressed people and like THX, and they were actually going to tie it into THX. And if you look on
interesting,
if you look on Wikipedia, actually, if you just look on Wikipedia under THX 1138, you'll see the little breadcrumbs that'll lead you to that story. But yeah, it could have been an interesting thing where, you know, kind of like ET being part of the Star Wars universe, like could include THX also.
Well,
possibly.
I won't hold my breath for that coming around.
Yeah. So. But I wanted to mention also in regards to Dave Filoni, it's interesting. I was going through an old insider from late 2005, and it mentioned that Lucasfilm starting its animation company, and they said, "Oh, we're going to start work on this new animation project." At the time, they didn't even announce that it was Clone Wars. And I seem to remember this when Lucas was at Celebration 3. He said they were going to be working on a live-action Star Wars series.
Yes.
And he also mentioned a CG animated Star Wars series also. And I'd kind of forgotten about that part because the live-action news was kind of bigger. Yeah. But then, so Clone Wars was announced in its little kernel form, or you know, little breadcrumb back in 2005, even though it didn't come out until 2008. So it was interesting to look at that news item and see Dave Filoni mentioned back then, because that was when he and Lucas when he joined the company.
Yeah,
it was right after Revenge of the Sith. So yeah, he goes back now 16 years.
Seems like yesterday.
I know, right? So yeah, it's just really cool, and I'm glad someone I trust Dave Filoni. You know, with a lot of other recent Star Wars creatives, like say Rian Johnson or J.J. Abrams or whoever, there's a little bit of a gamble because you don't know if they're going to pull something you don't like. You just don't know. But Dave Filoni is so established now with Clone Wars and Rebels and all these things, and having directly worked under Lucas as basically his apprentice, as he says. Lucas's influence, I feel, has gone directly to Dave. Dave understands the thematic qualities of Star Wars, which are important. You can't just write Star Wars and it's not just about vehicles and explosions and the story. You have to understand the themes and the mythology and the influences, like the influences of Akira Kurosawa films and samurai film. All that stuff that Dave loves and he gets. And so I just trust him like no other current person at Lucasfilm.
I trust that we'll see a lot more Ahsoka now.
Yeah, we will. We will. And and that reminds me, I think there was Ahsoka was dropped into, I think, some kind of Jedi presentation at Disneyland recently, or Galaxy's Edge, somewhere, and they actually used the image of Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka. So they're going to be using that probably a lot more in the near future with her show coming and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right, let's get to the Bad Batch now. We've waxed poetic on Dave Filoni, or
Indeed,
waxed his carrot enough. So, what did you think of episode 3?
Episode 3, which was, I believe, called Replacements. I thought it was pretty good. I feel like it was a similar flavor to episode 2 in that you could look at it and think, this is kind of filler. But when you really step back and think about it, you have to remember they're still introducing themes and characters on the show. So they're setting things up. They're setting up the story, the emotions, all this stuff. So you got to figure you're not going to get immediate gratification with everything right away. But when you really look at it, there was some great stuff. The whole thing with Kamino and the clones and Tarkin and bringing in this guy, Rampart.
Yeah.
Very interesting. And it's just amazing that we're finally getting this answer to this fan question for years about how did the Empire phase its clones out. So it almost seems like with the intrigue on Kamino, especially with the Kaminoans, how they're having these questions now about, does the Empire have their best interests? It seems like they're basically setting up some kind of rebellion on Kamino, or if there's going to be some war on Kamino between clones and the Empire. Yeah. I could see that happening actually as like a finale to the season.
That's Order 67.
Yeah.
Kill all the clones.
Yeah, fight the Empire.
Yeah, there was it felt like filler, but there was also stuff that's getting set up. One of the things I noticed was Wrecker seemed to have problems with his chip or something.
He had a headache.
Yeah, he bumped his head.
Yeah, that's right.
On the rough landing, and then the rest of the episode he had a headache, and he was kind of holding that side of his head and stuff. So I was kind of expecting it in that episode for him to like kind of go haywire, but it might be something they're setting up for in a future episode or something.
That's right, like the one today that we haven't seen that we review ASAP.
Yeah, because we're recording this on Friday instead of Wednesday. So
right. Yeah, obviously that was something I noticed too, and I thought it was going to be taken care of quicker. But that's great. I think I like it when something you can have questions about it that lead into the next episode.
Yeah.
And then the other thing I wanted to mention also in regards to the clones and the Empire, they called it Project War Mantle. Do you remember where that comes from?
I didn't, but then of course my Facebook feed is
blown up about it.
It blows up about, there's all these sites that latch on to little things like that for clickbait headlines. So I believe that was something in Rogue One, right?
Yeah, when Jen is going down the list of project names in Vault, she lists off Project Black Saber, Project War Mantle, and there was another one I don't remember. But it's funny because I kept waiting for them to fill those out with something, and I was like, oh, come on, they got to do it. And it's now taken 4.5 years before they finally did one of them, which I was happy. So now we know Project War Mantle. We don't know exactly what it is, only that it involves the clones and the Empire. Maybe
yeah, and the transition or sort of
the transition
merging of clones with regular conscripts or something like that.
Or people have also been thinking that maybe Crosshair and those dark armored ones that went to Onderon to finish the job, maybe they're the first of the Death Troopers from Rogue One, who later become like these cybernetically enhanced, basically cyborgs, like totally. So who knows? And
maybe that'll turn into Dark Troopers, right? Like maybe that's
who knows? Because maybe this is what leads the Empire to think maybe we need to augment conscripts with droids, like, you know.
Right.
And by the way, everything with Crosshair on Onderon was so dark, and they don't pull any punches on this show. Like if we're gonna kill civilians, you know, so be it.
I noticed that. Yeah.
They don't show it directly because they got to make sure there's still kids watching, but
they're dead.
It'll cut away, and you know what happens. And they are dead. And it's like, I like to see some storytelling risks taken with that. That's really great. And Crosshair, his voice sounds so cool when he's got the helmet on, and his raspy voice, and like he sounds dead inside.
Yeah.
You know, he sounds so dead inside, and I can't wait to see what happens with his character. I do want him to be redeemed. I really like him, and I think it would be great if he is redeemed with something, but maybe he's not. Who knows? I mean,
he's probably he's got to kill Rampart, probably.
Yeah, something like that. But I think those are my basic thoughts on the episode. Did you have any more?
Not really thoughts, but just observations.
Yeah.
The Ordo moon dragons.
Oh, interesting little. Yeah, that's right.
They look like Baragon from Godzilla.
I can see it.
I can see it. I think Baragon showed up in GMK, the one with Godzilla, Mothra, and King Ghidorah, and then Baragon's there, but he gets taken out pretty quick, so they don't even put him on the title.
Yeah.
And I think he fought Frankenstein in the 60s or whatever. There was that Frankenstein Toho movie. Anyway, those guys, the moon dragons look kind of like Baragon.
Yeah, I can see that.
I thought it was kind of cute.
They did look. I was thinking as I saw it, I was like, why does that look so familiar?
It's their ears.
Yeah, that's right. That's right, because Baragon has the little ear things.
And we're starting to see. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, I like the whole thing with Hunter and Omega on the planet and their little side story with those creatures. You know, that part did kind of feel like filler a little bit, but again, it's setting up Omega, and we're learning more about her and her possible force sensitivity.
And she's got her own bunk on the ship, which is nice.
Right. Actually, that was really sweet when Wrecker made her little room for her.
Yeah.
I like that scene. That was really cool. And, you know, I would hope Wrecker doesn't do anything bad, like to Omega, or like on accident because of his inhibitor chip malfunctioning or something. But I'm sure, being that it's you know, a show still aimed at younger audiences, you know, it'll be fine. Everything will be okay with the Wrecker.
Yeah. Won't be too bad.
Yeah.
It seemed like we're starting to see Stormtrooper designed helmets more.
Yeah.
You notice that?
Yeah.
We're getting that transition.
Yes. I can't wait to see when they're like officially like commissioned. You know?
Right. Like white, the classic Stormtrooper with the skull face and everything. I imagine maybe at the end of the series, if
I could see that
the actual transition as conscripts and stuff.
I could see that, and I would hope. I mean, this is a big hope, but what I would hope for the Bad Batch is it'd be great if it could have at least 4 or 5 seasons, tell its story, and if they could actually move forward a little bit on the timeline, like let's say, you know, starting right now at 19 BBY. It'd be great if they could go to at least 16 or 15 or maybe even 14 BBY, which is where right now there's not a lot of canon media. There's Jedi Fallen Order is at 14 BBY. And I think the Lords of the Sith novel that focuses on Vader and Palpatine is in that same year.
Yeah.
So when I've always been a huge fan of the Dark Times, as I call it, between Sith and A New Hope.
Yeah.
I feel like it's in pre A New Hope has been filled out a lot, but we don't really have a lot post Revenge of the Sith going to, like, say, Solo or everything.
It's like the immediate time frame before A New Hope, not the immediate time frame right after Revenge of the Sith, or even
and
right
Legends had a decent amount of novels that were like 2 to 3 years after Revenge of the Sith. There was a whole Last of the Jedi book series by Jude Watson, and then there was a trilogy of novels by I think Steve Perry and Michael Reeves of Shadows of the Empire and Darth Maul Shadowhunter fame. And then there was a single novel called The Last Jedi, which came out in 2013, I think. Prophetic title. And I think that was by, I want to say it was by John Jackson Miller. I could be wrong. It could be someone else. And then there was Kenobi by John Jackson Miller. And I think that's, and as far as canon, there's the Ahsoka novel. Right. Not yet read that. But those are still immediately after Revenge of the Sith. There's not that bridge, the multi-year gap. I want to see the Dark Times filled out completely, like Sith to New Hope. Just have one story of some kind every year in between, you know, kind of like after Return of the Jedi, you know, how there was something leading up to New Jedi Order,
right?
So
yeah, it was no rest for the wicked.
No,
there's always some galactic conflict or something.
Exactly.
But yeah, I mean, you know, this is just season 1, so we'll see how long it goes.
We'll see how long it goes. We'll see how
I wouldn't be surprised if it went at least 4 seasons.
Yeah, that was how long Rebels went. So I think that's something decently possible. You know, I don't think it's going to explode like Clone Wars, because Clone Wars came out of nowhere, where it was fresh. The story wasn't fresh per se as far as the setting, but it gained fans that were brand new, like younger. So that's why it kind of exploded in popularity, because it kept getting better and better and better.
Yeah.
But this is still coming into an established kind of thing where we have a lot of Star Wars media right now. And so it could kind of get lost in the shuffle on Disney Plus with casuals. I think
I don't know, you know, not to get into the weeds, but what they really want, what it seems Disney really wants, is something new every, like, when a series ends, they want something else to pick up, like, the next week, right? Because they want to keep the subscriber numbers. So right now they're at a point where, like, the Marvel and the Star Wars doesn't necessarily overlap, but I feel like they will get to a point where they're pleasing fans of more than one franchise at a time.
I think later this year, with the way things are looking, they're going to eventually overlap.
Yeah, so I don't think it's a matter of getting lost in the shuffle. It's just and HBO kind of had this benefit, and Netflix does too. When you have guaranteed money, right? You don't have to worry about subscribers. You don't have to worry about advertisers. You worry about subscribers and keeping subscription money flowing in. You always want content, and you have this big balloon of money that you can spend. So it gives you the freedom that you can count on too. It gives you the freedom to have big productions, have big shows, big series with high quality, and then pump them out, right? That's why HBO is able to do Game of Thrones and spend all that money on Game of Thrones, is because they had guaranteed money from subscribers.
Yeah.
They don't have to worry about selling to advertisers. They don't have to worry about selling tickets in a movie theater.
Yeah.
Same thing with Disney Plus. They get to a point, what they want to do is get and retain subscribers. And the way you do that is with new content, new shows. So
that's right.
I totally expect there to be at least 4 seasons, and we'll get a lot of stuff, a lot of shows.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of it. And I think that does it for this episode of Star Wars Unfiltered. If you want to reach us at YouTube, that's probably where you're listening to it right now. We are also on Facebook And if you want to have any questions or comments, just send them to StarWarsUnfiltered@yahoo.com. And we are also on Instagram, where I've been posting 5 posts in one day and then not doing it for another 5 days, because I've just been cranking out content all at once. That's just how I'm working lately. So that's how it's going to be. But until the next episode, take care, everybody.
Good night.
I didn't have a funny bit. This is my funny bit.
That's not funny.
What?